Close your eyes. Feel the gentle hum of the airplane still echoing in your chest. The cabin lights fade, and for a brief moment, silence stretches like silk around you. Then, softly, the captain's voice slips through the air. Bienvenue à Paris. The wheels kiss the runway, and I exhale. After 12 hours of watching clouds drift like continents below me, I'm here. Paris. The word feels like a sigh itself, a whisper at the edge of a dream. I unfasten my seatbelt, the buckle clinks, and I stand, half dizzy, half floating. Outside the oval window, the morning light spills across the tarmac, pale gold and hazy, as if even the sun takes its time waking up here. The airport smells of roasted coffee and rain. People rush past me, their footsteps echoing in rhythmic chaos, luggage wheels murmuring over the tiles. But I move slowly, savoring the moment. My shoes click softly as I follow the signs. Sortie, baggage claim, taxi. Each word feels elegant, even when it means something as ordinary as exit. A woman in a red coat brushes past me, perfume trailing like a story unfinished. Somewhere nearby, a child laughs, a sound so pure it cuts through the metallic air. I smile to myself. The city hasn't even shown its face yet, and I'm already caught in its spell. Outside, the chill greets me. Paris air has a texture. It isn't just cold, it wraps around you like a silk scarf that's been left out overnight. I lift my collar and scan the row of taxis lined up like patient horses. A driver waves me over. His face is kind, eyes half hidden beneath a flat cap. "Oh, allez-vous?" he asks. "Le marais." I answer, my voice unsure, my accent worse. But he nods, as if he's heard every version of every word before. As we glide away from the airport, the world unfolds. The gray stretches of highway slowly soften into cobblestone whispers, into narrow streets that seem to twist on purpose, like the city doesn't want to reveal itself all at once. Through the window, Paris yawns awake. Cafés unlock their doors, chairs clatter onto sidewalks, and somewhere, a bell tower rings 8 soft notes. I rest my head against the glass. My reflection hovers faintly over the cityscape, the sleepy traveler and the awakening city merging for a heartbeat. I think of how far I've come, and how I already feel like I've been here forever. Taxi slows. "Voila," the driver says. I look out. A small square surrounded by pastel facades, ivy climbing along balconies. The world smells like croissants and wet stone. I hand him a few bills, step out, and the sound of my own footsteps echoes in the stillness. Above me, the sky is a muted pearl. The street is quiet, the kind of quiet that hums with stories you can almost hear. My hotel stands at the corner, a modest building with blue shutters and a brass bell over the door. I push it open, and a warm rush of air greets me, carrying scents of fresh linen and something faintly floral. "Bonjour, monsieur," the receptionist says, smiling as if she's been expecting me all along. "Bonjour," I reply, and my voice sounds different here. Slower, softer, almost like I'm learning to speak again. In my room, I set my suitcase by the window and open the curtains. Paris stretches below. Rooftops like gray waves, chimneys standing like quiet sentinels. Somewhere beyond them, the Eiffel Tower pierces the morning haze, slender and ghostly. I sit on the edge of the bed. The sheets whisper. My body is heavy with travel, but my mind is wide awake. I can feel the city breathing beyond the glass, calling me, inviting me to wander. So I close my eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to listen, to the hum of life below, to the promise of stories waiting just outside the door. And when I open them again, I know the real journey begins now. The first thing I notice when I step outside is the sound of footsteps. Not mine, but the city's, soft, rhythmic, scattered. Paris walks differently in the morning, unhurried yet purposeful, like a cat stretching in sunlight. The cobblestones beneath me glisten faintly from last night's rain, reflecting the pale sky in broken pieces. The air smells of butter and espresso. Somewhere, a bakery door opens and warmth escapes, a swirl of vanilla, sugar, and golden crust. I follow it like a compass, drawn deeper into the maze of narrow streets that make up Le Marais. My shoes click against stone as I wander. The buildings lean close, their shutters half open, their balconies dotted with tiny plants that look as if they've been lovingly forgotten. A man on a bicycle glides past, a baguette tucked under his arm like a secret. A woman with silver hair waters her geraniums and hums softly to herself. No one seems to rush. Everything feels suspended between dreaming and waking. I stop by a café with misted windows and the faint sound of a piano drifting from inside. The sign above the door reads Café Lune. Perfect. Inside, it's dim and golden. A few locals sit by the window, talking quietly over steaming cups. I take a seat near the back, where the light is gentle and time feels slower. The waiter approaches, a young man with tousled hair and a smile that doesn't need translation. Un café crème, he asks. Yes, I say. Then, remembering where I am, I add softly, s'il vous plaît. He nods approvingly, as though I've passed some small test. When the cup arrives, I wrap my hands around it and inhale. The warmth seeps into my skin, into my bones. Outside, the city drifts by like a slow-moving dream. Each passerby looks like a scene in a film, coats fluttering, laughter spilling, sunlight catching on umbrellas. Sip slowly. The taste is rich and smooth, almost buttery. The kind of flavor that tells you you're far from home, but exactly where you're meant to be. A couple at the next table speaks in hushed French. I catch fragments, l'amour dimanche toujours. Love Sunday always. The words sound like a poem even when they mean nothing to me. I take out my small notebook and jot them down, not for translation but for memory. When I step back outside, the morning has shifted. The sky brightens to a softer blue. Shopkeepers roll up shutters. Street artists begin sketching portraits on the corners. And somewhere, the faint sound of an accordion floats through the air. I walk toward the Seine. The streets widen. The rhythm of the city grows steadier. The closer I get, the more alive everything feels. Dog barks. Child laughs. The scent of roasted chestnuts drifts from a street cart, mingling with the perfume of blooming lilacs. The river appears suddenly, like turning a page and finding a secret note hidden inside. The water glimmers, silver green, with little ripples catching the light. I lean over the stone railing and watch it flow, calm and endless. It feels like time itself is moving there, steady, patient, indifferent to everything except its own path. A couple locks a small padlock onto the bridge railing and tosses the key into the water. The metal flashes, disappears. I wonder how many keys sleep beneath that surface. How many promises, how many names whispered and forgotten. The bells of Notre Dame ring in the distance, soft but insistent. Their echoes ripple across the water, through the city, through me. I walk again, slower now. The world has softened around the edges. Even the air feels more tender, as if Paris itself is exhaling. For a moment, I stop in the middle of the bridge, close my eyes, and let the sound wash over me. The bells, the laughter, the faint hum of the city beneath my feet. I think of how easily one can fall in love with a place. Not because of its monuments or postcards, but because of mornings like this. Quiet, imperfect, alive. Open my eyes. The river glimmers back at me, as if it knows. And somewhere deep inside, a thought takes root, gentle but certain. This isn't just a visit. It's a beginning. The afternoon light in Paris has its own temperature. Warmer than gold, softer than memory. It doesn't just fall. It rests gently on everything it touches. As I make my way along the Seine, I feel it brushing my face, my hands, my thoughts. The world hums with quiet energy. Footsteps echoing on bridges, bicycles gliding past, the whisper of pages turning as people sit by the river reading in the sun. The Louvre appears slowly, as if the city reveals it like a magician unveiling the final trick. At first, just a corner of stone, then a long stretch of pale facade, and finally, the glass pyramid rising from the courtyard like a dream trapped in crystal. I stop walking. Even after all the photos I've seen, the sight feels unreal. The pyramid catches the sunlight, shattering it into shards that dance over the fountain's surface. Around me, the air is alive with the sound of camera shutters, footsteps, and laughter in every language. Yet somehow, beneath the noise, there's silence, a sacred, invisible hum that belongs to the art inside. I cross the courtyard slowly, almost reverently. The glass doors open with a sigh, and the cool air inside greets me like a whisper. The scent of polished marble and centuries-old stories fills my lungs. I buy my ticket, step through the security gates, and for a moment I just stand there. In the entrance hall, surrounded by staircases spiraling like thoughts, unsure which direction to take. Then I let instinct decide. The halls stretch endlessly, each corner revealing another piece of human longing carved, painted, or imagined. I move through rooms where angels float above chaos, kings gaze from golden frames, and every face on the walls seems to recognize me. Or maybe I recognize them. There's a strange kind of silence in museums. Not the absence of sound, but a stillness that feels alive. Footsteps echo softly, whispers flutter like moths, and every heartbeat feels exaggerated, as if the art itself is listening. I find myself before the Mona Lisa. She's smaller than I imagined, her smile even quieter. The crowd presses close, cameras raised high, but I hang back, watching her from a distance. Her gaze doesn't meet mine, yet it holds me completely. There's something unnervingly calm in it. Not mystery, not mischief, but patience. The patience of someone who has been looked at for centuries and no longer needs to explain herself. I whisper, almost without meaning to, "You must be tired." Someone beside me chuckles softly, but I don't look. The painting doesn't move, yet somehow I feel understood. From there I wander without plan. I let the museum take me where it wants. Through corridors of marble gods, through rooms where battle scenes rage forever in silence, through galleries where light touches ancient colors and makes them breathe again. At one point, I find an empty bench facing a massive painting of the sea. The waves seem to move, their foam suspended mid-crash. I sit. My reflection blends with the painting's glass, and for a fleeting second, I feel like I'm inside it, caught between brushstrokes, dissolving into the horizon. Time becomes elastic inside the Louvre. I don't know how long I sit there. Minutes, hours, lifetimes. When I finally step outside again, the sky has changed. The light is warmer, more liquid, slipping down the stone walls like honey. I walk through the courtyard once more. The pyramid gleams brighter now, surrounded by reflections of people and clouds. I lean against the railing, watching as the water ripples gently at its base. Somewhere nearby, a street violinist begins to play. The notes rise and fall like breaths, wrapping themselves around the sound of the fountain, around the chatter of the crowd around me. And just like that, the day's noise fades. I close my eyes and listen. The music feels ancient, as if it belongs to the city itself. The same melody that's been echoing here for centuries, waiting for travelers like me to hear it for the first time. I open my eyes again, and for a moment, I forget I'm a visitor. Paris doesn't feel foreign anymore. Feels like something I've always known, just in another lifetime. I turn toward the river, ready to walk again. The day isn't over, not yet. The sun is dipping lower, the air thick with possibility. Somewhere ahead, the cafes will be glowing with evening light, and the city will shift once more, from art to appetite, from wonder to warmth. And I'll follow it, wherever it wants to take me. By the time I reach Montmartre, the sun is already melting into the rooftops. The sky above Paris burns in soft shades of apricot and rose, like a watercolor still drying. The air has changed, lighter, more electric. The hum of the city deepens into music, laughter, footsteps, the faint clinking of wine glasses carried on the breeze. I climb the narrow streets slowly. Each turn feels like a secret. The stones beneath my feet are worn smooth by centuries of dreamers who came before. Poets, painters, lovers, all chasing some version of the same light. The smell of crepes drifts from a street stand, mingling with roasted chestnuts and cigarette smoke. A guitarist plays near a cafe doorway, his notes rolling lazily down the hill like drops of honey. I stop to listen. His song is old, maybe older than he is, and yet it feels made for this moment. His eyes meet mine for a second, and he smiles, not at me but at the world itself, as if to say, "Look, isn't it beautiful just to be alive right now?" I toss a coin into his guitar case, nod, and keep walking. The climb grows steeper, the streets narrower. Montmartre feels different from the rest of Paris, more intimate, less polished, as if time forgot to polish its edges. The buildings are smaller here, crowded together like friends whispering secrets. Windows glow with lamplight. Somewhere a cat darts across a balcony. I pass La Maison Rose, its pink walls glowing under the fading light, and pause. The cafe hums with quiet conversation, glasses clinking softly, candles flickering on each table. I step inside and find a small corner seat. The waitress appears, balancing plates with effortless grace. "Bonsoir," she says. Her voice carries the warmth of someone who's lived her whole life in this rhythm. "Bonsoir," I reply. She smiles. "A glass of red, please." The wine arrives deep and ruby, catching the light like molten velvet. Sip slowly. Around me, the conversations blur into a soft hum. A man at the bar sketches in a notebook. Two women laugh over dessert. An old couple shares a quiet toast, their hands brushing briefly. Through the open window, the last light of day spills in, and I feel the world exhale. Paris isn't rushing anymore. It's breathing, slow, deliberate, content. I take out my own notebook. The pages are already filled with little fragments of the day. Words, faces, smells, fleeting thoughts. But tonight I don't want to write. I just want to feel. Outside, the street lamps flicker on, one by one, like stars remembering themselves. I finish my wine, leave a few coins on the table, and step back into the evening. The hill continues upward. The sound of the city fades behind me, replaced by the quiet murmur of my own footsteps. And then, suddenly, the world opens. The Sacré-Cœur stands before me, white and vast, its domes glowing against the indigo sky. Below, Paris stretches endlessly, a shimmering ocean of lights. I walk up the final steps and sit on the edge of the terrace, where dozens of others have gathered. No one speaks loudly. It's as if the view demands silence. The Eiffel Tower sparkles in the distance, a slow heartbeat of gold. The wind brushes past, cool and gentle, carrying the faint scent of lavender and rain. Somewhere behind me, a group of friends begins to sing softly, their voices mingling with the city's pulse, fragile and eternal all at once. Close my eyes. The stone beneath me is cold, grounding. The sky feels impossibly close. And for a moment I'm not a visitor. I'm not anyone at all. I'm just part of it. This vast, breathing city that holds 1,000 stories in every flicker of light. I open my eyes again and whisper to no one in particular. I'll remember this night. 'Cause I know I will. Not the monuments, not the names of streets, but the way Paris sounds when it exhales, the way it glows when it begins to dream. The bells of the basilica chime softly behind me. Down below, the city shimmers, and I sit there a little longer, until night finally takes the sky. The city has grown quiet, but never silent. Paris doesn't sleep. It hums softly like a secret you can't quite forget. I walk along the Seine, the night air cool against my skin, the river a ribbon of black silk winding through the heart of the city. Street lamps lean over the water, their reflections trembling in the current, twin worlds, one above, one below, breathing in sync. It's past midnight. The crowds have faded, replaced by shadows and echoes. The cafés along the riverfront glow faintly, their last patrons lingering over half-empty glasses, unwilling to let the night end. A waiter wipes down a table, humming to himself. Somewhere far off, a saxophone sighs into the darkness. My footsteps are slow now. The cobblestones glisten faintly, and the air smells of damp stone, wine, and the faint trace of roses from a florist's window long closed. Each sound seems amplified. The whisper of water, the distant hiss of tires on wet pavement, the delicate creak of a bridge under my steps. I stop midway across Pont Neuf. From here, the view stretches endlessly. The Louvre sleeps to my left, the towers of Notre Dame rise in the distance, and the faint glow of the Eiffel Tower pulses like a heartbeat far away. The whole city feels suspended, not alive, not asleep, just breathing. I lean on the cold railing, watching the reflections ripple and scatter. It feels like the city is speaking, not in words, but in rhythm. Every ripple says stay. Every gust of wind says remember. A figure passes, a woman in a long coat, a scarf wrapped loosely around her neck. She walks slowly, her heels clicking softly against the stone. Our eyes meet for a moment, just long enough for a quiet recognition. Two strangers sharing the same silence. She smiles faintly, then disappears into the curve of the bridge, swallowed by the night. Walk on. A few blocks later, I find a small bar still open, the kind of place that exists only after midnight. Its sign flickers, the sound of jazz spilling through the open door. Inside, the light is low and amber, the air thick with the scent of tobacco and nostalgia. A few people sit scattered at tables, talking in hushed tones, their laughter soft and slow. I take a seat by the window. The bartender, an older man with kind eyes and a linen towel over his shoulder, approaches. "Un vin chaud?" he asks. I nod. A warm wine sounds perfect. The glass arrives steaming, fragrant with cinnamon and citrus. I cradle it in my hands, letting the warmth spread through me. Outside, raindrops begin to fall, faint at first, then steadier, tapping gently against the window like fingertips. The saxophone grows louder, weaving through the low hum of conversation. It's not polished music. It's raw, unguarded, the kind that fills the spaces words can't reach. I close my eyes for a moment and just listen. When I open them again, the street outside glows wet and golden. The rain has turned the cobblestones into mirrors, and Paris, beautiful, endless Paris, reflects itself over and over again. Take another sip. The wine is sweet and sharp at once, like memory itself. A man at the next table raises his glass toward me. "À la vie," he says, "to life." I lift mine and echo softly. To life. For a while, that's all there is. The rain, the jazz, the soft glow of candlelight flickering across faces that will vanish with the morning. Yet I feel something infinite in this small room. Maybe it's the city, maybe it's the wine, or maybe it's the strange peace that comes when you realize that being alone and being alive can feel like the same thing. When I finally step back into the night, the rain has eased into a mist. The river glimmers faintly under the streetlights. I pull my coat tighter and begin to walk again, slow, unhurried. The city seems to move with me, its pulse steady, its breath warm. I pause once more on the bridge, the same one I crossed earlier. The wind brushes past, gentle and knowing. The water below carries the reflections of 1,000 lights, each one trembling but unbroken. And for a moment I think this must be what eternity feels like. Not an endless span of time, but a single perfect night, walking by the river in Paris. Paris at dawn feels like a secret being whispered only to those still awake. The streets are empty, washed pale by the slow light rising behind the rooftops. The rain from the night before has dried into silver traces, tiny jewels glistening on window panes and wrought iron balconies. I've walked all night without realizing it. My steps have grown slower, my thoughts softer. Somewhere between one heartbeat and the next, the darkness began to fade, not with drama, but with the gentlest surrender. The city exhales, and I exhale with it. The air smells of bread and morning. Far ahead, a baker unlocks his door, and the warm scent of rising dough drifts through the quiet. The glow from his shop spills onto the street like honey. Inside, trays of golden croissants wait behind glass, and for a moment I imagine every story that will begin here today. The lovers meeting before work, the artist sketching alone, the mother buying pastries for her children still half asleep. I buy one croissant still hot from the oven. The baker, a round man with kind eyes, smiles at me without words. I take it outside, lean against a lamppost, and watch as the sky lightens from gray to the faintest shade of rose. The first bite flakes between my fingers, warm and buttery, the taste of a beginning. Somewhere nearby, a pigeon coos softly. Then another. The city begins to hum again, faint but growing. Curtains shift. A window opens. Someone laughs in the distance. Paris, reluctant but inevitable, begins to wake. I climb the narrow stairway that leads up toward Rue Lepic. The stones are slick, the air cool and damp. The climb is quiet, save for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant rumble of an early train. At the top, I stop to catch my breath, and the view takes it away again. Below me, the rooftops stretch endlessly, a sea of slate and chimney smoke, still tinted with the last blue of the night. The Eiffel Tower stands in the distance, faintly illuminated, as if it too hasn't slept. The city feels fragile here, half dream, half memory. I sit on a low wall, legs dangling over the edge, and let the sunrise unfold. The light moves slowly, lovingly. It slides across the river, touches the spires of Notre Dame, kisses the glass of high windows, and finally spills across my face. Soft and forgiving. Feels like forgiveness. I think about everything I've seen in the last day. The museum halls echoing with ghosts, the laughter in Montmartre, the rain against café windows, the faces that passed me by. I realize how quietly a city can change you, not through what it shows you, but through what it makes you feel when you're alone with it. My croissant is gone. My fingers are sticky with crumbs. The baker's warmth has faded, but the memory lingers. Below, the first cars begin to appear, their engines low and hesitant. Shopkeepers roll up their shutters. The first buses rumble through the waking streets. The spell begins to break, but I don't mind. There's beauty in endings too, especially when they happen slowly like this. A soft breeze moves through my hair, carrying the faintest sound of church bells. It's so delicate I almost think I'm imagining it. The city beneath me glows gold now, like a promise being kept. And as the light strengthens, I whisper to myself, I was here. Not to claim it, not to capture it, just to remember. 'Cause some places don't belong to you. You just pass through them, and they mark you quietly like a fingerprint on glass. The bells ring again, louder this time. A new day begins. And I, still sitting above the rooftops, smile at the thought that the night didn't really end. It just became light. The streets are alive now, but softly. Not with chaos, but with rhythm. Paris in the morning is a slow ballet of life. Shutters creak as they open, the wheels of bicycles click on cobblestones, and the scent of coffee drifts thick from cafes lining every corner. I find a small cafe tucked beneath ivy-covered walls. The sign reads Le Petit Matin, and the wooden tables spill onto the street like an invitation. I slip into a chair near the edge, close enough to watch the city wake, but far enough to feel hidden. The waitress arrives, cheerful but calm, her apron dusted with flour from the morning's pastries. Un café s'il vous plaît, I say, almost instinctively. She smiles, nods, and disappears briefly into the kitchen. When she returns, the cup is steaming, the aroma a soft swirl of chocolate and roasted beans. I lift it to my lips. The warmth spreads slowly, like sun through winter clouds. Around me, Paris begins its day. Shopkeepers place flowers outside their stores. A man sweeps fallen leaves from the sidewalk. A bicycle glides past, carrying a basket of fresh bread. I watch, letting my senses drink it all in. The chatter of neighbors, the scrape of a chair on stone, the distant bells of a church marking the hour. A couple sits at the next table, their hands brushing across the table as they speak in hushed French. I catch a few words, demain toujours I. But even without translation, their conversation is poetry. I scribble the words in my notebook, not to remember their meaning, but to preserve the sound of them. I take a small bite of a pain au chocolate. The pastry is warm and delicate, layers flaking gently in my fingers. Sweetness and butter mingle perfectly. Outside, the sun rises higher, casting long, soft shadows across the street. A street musician arrives nearby, a violinist with a worn instrument. He plays something gentle, a melody that rises and falls like the ebb of the Seine. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the music mingle with the scent of coffee and fresh bread. A child runs past, laughter spilling into the morning. A cat stretches lazily on the windowsill above, its eyes blinking slowly, watching the world awaken. I realize that Paris is not just in its landmarks or monuments, but in these small details. The smell of a pastry, the rhythm of footsteps, the music floating in the air. The city breathes quietly here, in moments too ordinary to appear on postcards, yet too beautiful to forget. I finish my coffee, letting the warmth linger. I watch a delivery man park his truck, unload crates of fruit, and greet a baker with a friendly nod. Every movement seems deliberate, connected, like threads in a tapestry that I'm only beginning to see. For a moment, I feel suspended between the night I walked alone and the full day ahead. The city moves around me, yet I am still, absorbing, listening, feeling the pulse of life that continues whether or not I am here. When I rise to leave, I feel a quiet anticipation. Today has already begun, yet it is still full of possibility. Paris feels alive, patient, and endlessly generous. Every corner promises a story, every street invites a new rhythm, every passerby a brief connection. And as I step out onto the street, sunlight brushing my face, I whisper softly to myself, "Let's see where you want to take me next." The afternoon sun hangs lazily above Paris, casting long golden reflections across the Seine. The water moves slowly, silver and warm, carrying with it the whispers of the city. I walk along the riverbank, my steps echoing softly against the stone edges, each one blending into the gentle lapping of water. Boats drift past, some carrying tourists with cameras, others carrying quiet locals content to let the city pass them by. The sound of paddles and laughter mingles with the distant hum of traffic, creating a delicate rhythm unique to this place. I pause at a small wooden dock, leaning against the railing, watching ripples play across the surface like liquid light. Across the river, the facades of buildings lean slightly, their windows catching the afternoon sun, throwing shards of light onto the water. Couples stroll hand in hand, artists sketch on benches, and musicians play quietly under the arches of bridges, their notes bending and stretching along the current. I find a quiet spot beneath Pont Alexander III, its golden statues gleaming in the sun. The bridge stretches above me like a sculpted archway, intricate and delicate, as if every detail were placed to honor those who stop to notice. I sit on the edge of the riverbank, legs dangling over, feeling the stone beneath me warm from the day. A painter has set up nearby, capturing the scene with a delicate brush, each stroke a conversation between water, light, and shadow. I watch him for a while, imagining how his hands interpret what my eyes can only glimpse. The scene is ordinary, yet profound, a fragment of life suspended on canvas. Seagulls wheel lazily overhead, their cries echoing faintly, mixing with the hum of distant bicycles and the soft chatter of people walking along the quays. The smell of fresh bread wafts from a nearby café, mingling with the faint scent of river water. I close my eyes and let it all envelop me, letting the rhythm of Paris flow through me like a quiet song. Somewhere down the river, a small group of rowers glide past. The oars dip in perfect harmony, leaving ripples that stretch toward me, shaking light from the surface of the water. I can almost feel the motion of the city itself in each stroke, the pulse of Paris matching the quiet thrum in my chest. I take out my notebook, but the words don't come. Instead, I sketch faint lines, the curves of the bridge, the shimmer of the river, the outlines of distant rooftops. Not precise, not exact, just impressions, moments captured in the way memory sometimes remembers more than sight ever could. A café waiter passes, carrying a tray of espresso cups and pastries. The clink of porcelain blends with the river's murmur, a harmony of ordinary life. I sip water from my bottle and watch a small child lean over the railing to watch the ripples chase each other across the Seine, delighted by the simplest of spectacles. Time drifts slowly here. The sun begins its gradual descent, painting the river in warmer shades. The city feels expansive, endless, yet intimate, as if it has room for everyone. For wanderers, for lovers, for dreamers like me. I rise and continue my walk along the cobbled quay. Each step brings new details. The shadow of a bridge arching perfectly over the river, a couple kissing briefly on a bench, a painter packing up after a quiet afternoon of capturing the light. And as I reach the next bend in the river, I realize the Seine isn't just water flowing through the city. It's life, memory, motion, and stillness all at once. I pause once more, breathing it in, whispering softly to myself, "Thank you for letting me walk with you today." The sun lowers slowly, sliding across Paris like molten gold. The city seems to hold its breath, waiting for the final moment when day will melt into evening. I find myself back on Pont Neuf, standing at its center, leaning against the cold stone railing as the Seine glimmers beneath me. The light spills across the river, streaking buildings with fire orange and soft pink. Shadows stretch long and gentle across the streets. Every ripple of the water catches the sun's reflection, scattering tiny diamonds across the surface. The city feels alive and fragile at the same time, like a dream poised between heartbeat and exhale. Couples stroll slowly along the bridge, some pausing to take photos, others simply holding hands and letting silence speak. I watch a man sketch quickly in a small notebook. His lines hurried but precise, capturing the fleeting light before it fades. I wonder if he knows that the memory he's etching will outlast the glow. A boat passes beneath the bridge, and the water shivers with its wake. The ripples catch the sun again, tossing golden sparks upward like fireflies. I breathe deeply, letting the warmth and color fill me. It's impossible not to feel that Paris is a living canvas, and I, for a few fleeting moments, am part of its art. A street musician sets up nearby, violin in hand. The first notes rise slowly, cautious, then unfurl into a melody that drifts across the bridge, over the water, and into the distant rooftops. It feels like the city itself is playing, orchestrated by unseen hands, for anyone willing to stop and listen. The stone beneath my fingers is cool now, contrasting with the warmth of the fading sunlight. I watch shadows stretch and bend across the arches of the bridge, the soft glow wrapping around me like a blanket. A pigeon coos gently at my feet, and a child's laughter echoes faintly from a distance. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the wind brush my face. The city smells faintly of bread, river water, and wood smoke from a chimney somewhere far away. It is comforting and fleeting at once. When I open my eyes, the sky has deepened. Orange has softened into pink, then purple, and finally a dusky blue. Lights along the river awaken, reflecting in the water like scattered stars. Paris transforms before me, from the city of sunlight to the city of glimmering lights and quiet anticipation. I lean a little further over the railing, watching as the sun finally dips behind distant rooftops. The Seine seems to glow in its last moment, carrying the city's reflection, the bridge's shadows, and the silhouettes of people slowly heading home. I feel a soft contentment settle over me, a mix of gratitude and awe. The day has moved, shifted, and revealed itself, and now the night is ready to take the stage. And as darkness approaches, I whisper quietly to the city beneath me, "Stay beautiful. I'll remember this forever." The violinist's song lingers in the air as I step away from the railing, walking slowly toward the cobbled streets that wind up Montmartre. Paris is alive in every heartbeat of the evening, and I am exactly where I am meant to be. Night falls softly over Montmartre, like velvet draped across the rooftops. The streets are narrow and quiet, illuminated by the gentle glow of old-fashioned lamps. Their light pools in warm circles on cobblestones, revealing textures and cracks that have been shaped by centuries of footsteps. I wander slowly, letting the curves of the streets guide me. Each turn feels deliberate, as if the neighborhood itself is inviting me to explore its secrets. Doors stand slightly ajar, spilling light and shadow into the alleys. A cat slinks across one doorway, pausing to watch me with golden eyes before disappearing into darkness. Somewhere nearby, a café is still open. Music floats out, a quiet piano melody, soft and almost hesitant. I pause at the threshold, listening. A group of friends laughs inside, their conversation bubbling and bright against the quiet night. The contrast makes the streets feel more alive, more tender. Continue walking. The steep incline of Montmartre slows my steps, and I lean on a railing to catch my breath. From here, I can see the city below, twinkling in distant light. The Eiffel Tower sparkles far away, its golden heartbeat steady in the night. The streets wind down like ribbons, carrying with them the echoes of life and laughter, even in the quiet hours. I pass small studios, their windows glowing with the soft light of late-night work. Brushes lean against jars, canvases stacked against walls, and the faint scent of paint drifts into the street. Artists are still awake here, chasing visions that refuse to sleep, and I feel a quiet kinship with them, the kind of connection that doesn't need words. A violin hums somewhere in the distance, the notes curling up along the rooftops and mingling with the cool night air. I stop to listen, letting the music carry me further into the neighborhood. Each street lamp, each shadow, each sound feels deliberate, as if Montmartre itself is composing a symphony for anyone who will pause and pay attention. I take a seat on a low stone wall overlooking the city below. The night is clear, the sky deep blue, and a faint breeze carries the distant smell of baked bread from an early morning bakery somewhere down below. I breathe it in, letting it mix with the lingering scent of the river, the warmth of the day, and the quiet hum of the city. For a moment, I feel suspended between worlds, the bustling Paris of daylight and the intimate, magical Paris of the night. Time seems to stretch here, unbroken, soft, forgiving. I close my eyes and allow the city's heartbeat to mingle with my own, slow and steady, a rhythm older than memory. I open them again, watching the gentle movement of shadows on the walls, the twinkle of distant lights, the silent conversation of stone and sky. I rise and continue my walk, each step a quiet acknowledgement of the city's beauty, each breath a small act of gratitude. And as I move further into the winding streets, I whisper softly to Montmartre, "Stay as magical as this forever. I'll carry you with me." The streets of Montmartre have grown silent, save for the soft shuffle of my footsteps and the occasional whisper of wind against the old stone walls. I follow the dim glow of a small sign, Café de la Lune, tucked into a corner, almost hidden. The door creaks softly as I enter, stepping into warmth and amber light. Inside, the cafe is small, intimate, almost a secret. Wooden tables polished by countless hands, a few candles flickering on each, and the quiet murmur of a bartender cleaning glasses. A single violinist plays in the corner, his bow gliding over strings with tender care. The music is gentle, almost hesitant, yet it fills the room like soft rain on a tin roof. I take a seat by the window, close enough to watch the empty streets outside. The glass is cool beneath my hands, and the reflection of the candlelight seems to mingle with the world beyond, merging inside and out into one delicate moment. The bartender arrives with a small cup of chocolate chawed, steam curling in slow, hypnotic spirals. The first sip warms me from the inside, chocolatey, soft, grounding. I close my eyes, letting the quiet swell around me. Here in this small cafe, Paris feels like it's been distilled, a perfect drop of warmth, light, and memory. A couple laughs softly at a table nearby, their conversation a gentle ripple in the calm. I watch a man stir his coffee slowly, his gaze distant, lost perhaps in thought or in a dream. Everything seems deliberate, measured, as if time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of this quiet night. I pull out my notebook, fingers hovering over the blank page. Words hesitate. Instead, I write small fragments, impressions, smells, soft notes of melody, things too delicate for full sentences. The city is speaking here in whispers, not declarations, and I try to catch each one before it drifts away. Through the open window, the night air carries the faint smell of rain-soaked streets, a trace of lavender from a window above, and the distant warmth of fresh bread from a bakery yet to open. The sounds are minimal but full. A footstep, a door creaking, the occasional low murmur of a passerby. I take another sip of chocolate, watching the liquid swirl in the cup like slow-moving sunlight captured in a vessel. The violinist's bow moves once more, drawing out a note that lingers, hovering in the air, refusing to fall. I let it carry me, each sound a thread weaving me into the fabric of the city. Outside, Montmartre sleeps under the gentle watch of street lamps, shadows curling across stone and ivy. The world seems fragile, luminous, and infinite all at once. I think about the day I've wandered through Paris, from the first sunrise over rooftops to this quiet moment in amber light. Every street, every corner, every small miracle of ordinary life has left a trace inside me. I set my cup down and listen to the soft symphony around me. Candle flames flickering, the hum of the cafe, the distant murmur of the city. For the first time, I feel fully at peace, suspended between the rhythm of Paris and the pulse of my own heart. And I whisper softly, almost to myself, somewhere in all this quiet, I've found the city I was looking for. The cafe door closes softly behind me, leaving the warm amber light behind and stepping into a world washed in silver. The moon hangs low over Paris, a delicate lantern casting gentle light over cobblestone streets and the quiet rooftops of Montmartre. Shadows stretch long and soft, draping themselves across the walls, blending seamlessly with the faint glow of street lamps. I walk slowly, each step echoing faintly on the stones. The city feels hushed, as if it is holding its breath, savoring the delicate balance between night and the approaching dawn. A soft breeze brushes my face, carrying the faint scent of flowers from a balcony above and the distant sweetness of pastries yet to be baked. The streets twist and turn, familiar yet new in the moonlight. Each corner reveals a small secret, an ivy-draped window, a wrought iron balcony, a stray cat pausing to watch me pass. I feel like an invisible guest in the city's private world, welcomed but unseen, moving quietly among its quiet wonders. From afar, a church bell tolls, slow and melodic, marking the hour. The sound drifts across rooftops and alleys, mingling with the faint murmur of the Seine, which glimmers faintly in the distance, reflecting the moon's silver glow. I pause on a bridge, leaning against the railing, watching the water ripple under the moonlight, carrying reflections of stars and street lamps alike. A lone street musician plays a soft tune nearby, just a simple guitar, notes drifting lazily through the night air. I stop listening, letting each chord wash over me. The melody blends with the whispers of the city, the rustle of leaves, the soft coo of a pigeon, the distant laughter of someone who is awake in the quiet hours. I continue walking, letting the streets guide me without purpose, my steps slow, deliberate. The night is full, yet gentle. Paris feels alive in the smallest of gestures. A shutter moving in a window, the glint of a puddle catching moonlight, the subtle creak of an old door. Each movement tells a story. Each sound becomes part of a quiet symphony. I climb a slight incline, reaching a terrace overlooking the city. The view is breathtaking. Rooftops rolling into the distance, the Eiffel Tower faintly sparkling far away, the Seine curling like a silver ribbon. I stand there, taking it all in, letting the city seep into my skin, my thoughts, my very breath. Time stretches, unmeasured. The night has a weight, a texture, soft, luminous, and infinite. I feel suspended between worlds, between yesterday and tomorrow, between solitude and belonging. I whisper to the city, softly, reverently, "Stay with me like this forever." For in these hours, Paris has revealed itself not in monuments or streets, but in the delicate poetry of quiet, in moonlight, in shadows, in the soft pulse of life flowing beneath the stars. I resume my walk, moving slowly along the winding streets, letting the night guide me deeper into its embrace. Every step is a memory, every breath a secret promise between the city and me. The night is deep now, thick with quiet, and the Seine stretches before me like a ribbon of liquid silver. I move slowly across Pont Neuf, the oldest bridge in Paris, feeling the cold stone beneath my fingers as I trace the ornate railing. The water below shimmers, carrying reflections of street lamps, the soft glow of the moon, and the faint sparkle of distant city lights. Each bridge I cross feels like passing through a memory, a fragment of the city captured in stone and metal. The arches above me frame the sky, stars peeking through gaps between rooftops, while below, the river flows endlessly, a gentle murmur beneath the heartbeat of Paris. I pause at Pont Alexander III, its gilded statues gleaming faintly in the moonlight. The sculptures seem alive, frozen in a moment of grace, their shadows stretching across the water like soft poetry. A light breeze brushes past, carrying the faint scent of lilies from a hidden garden nearby. I inhale slowly, letting it mingle with the night air, with the river's cool whisper, with the quiet rhythm of my own footsteps. From somewhere along the quay, a violin plays. The notes drift lazily through the night, mingling with the gentle lapping of the water against the bridge's foundations. I close my eyes, letting the music carry me, feeling each vibration resonate deep within. The city is breathing around me, subtle and constant, and I am part of its pulse. I continue along Pont des Arts, its railings dotted with faint traces of locks left by lovers long gone. I trace them with my eyes, imagining the stories behind each one. Promises whispered, hands held tightly, hearts entwined. The river reflects the moonlight in scattered diamonds, and I feel the quiet thrill of being a witness to both history and the fleeting present. A lone figure passes beneath me on a boat, oars slicing the water with precise, rhythmic strokes. The ripples shimmer in silver and gold, stretching toward the stone pillars, dissolving softly in the current. I linger for a moment, mesmerized by the movement, the sound, the way the city seems to fold upon itself in this quiet hour. Somewhere nearby, a café door opens briefly, spilling a warm amber glow onto the pavement before closing again into the night. The scent of roasted coffee beans drifts faintly, mingling with the cool river air. Even from a distance, it feels intimate, like the city is sharing its secrets only with those who walk its bridges at midnight. I take a slow breath, leaning lightly against the railing, watching reflections stretch and fracture across the water. Every light, every shadow, every whisper of wind feels like part of a story being told silently, delicately, exclusively for me. And as I step from one bridge to the next, I whisper softly into the night. Carry me with you, Paris, as I carry you in my memory. The river flows endlessly beneath me, indifferent yet attentive. The bridges stand timeless, the city quiet but alive, and I continue to walk unhurried, letting each step echo gently against the heartbeat of the night. The climb up Montmartre has softened beneath the hush of night. The cobblestones are cool under my shoes, the gentle incline steady but forgiving. Each step brings me closer to the white silhouette of Sacré-Cœur, standing serene against the inky sky, its domes glowing faintly in the moonlight. I pause for a moment halfway up, turning to look back over the city. Paris sprawls endlessly below, a sea of golden lights glimmering like scattered fireflies. The Seine winds through it, silver and silent now, mirroring the stars above. The Eiffel Tower sparkles in the distance, a heartbeat of brilliance in the dark. I inhale deeply, feeling the cool air fill my lungs, carrying the scent of distant cafés, the faint aroma of baked bread, and the earthy hint of ivy-covered walls. When I reach the top, the city unfolds in a panorama that feels both intimate and infinite. I sit on the steps of the basilica, letting the silence envelope me. The night is alive with whispers, the gentle rustle of leaves, the occasional coo of a pigeon, the distant murmur of cars on avenues far below. It is a symphony of quiet, subtle, and profound. Sacré-Cœur itself is quiet, majestic. Its white stone glows softly under the moon, each curve and arch outlined delicately against the sky. I run my fingers lightly over the cold stone steps, feeling the weight of history, of countless visitors who have climbed this hill before me, each drawn here by a quiet yearning. From this height, Paris feels endless yet tender, like a story unfolding slowly across centuries. I let my gaze wander, tracing the winding streets below, the rooftops tilting in gentle chaos, the lamps casting pools of warmth onto the cobblestones. Every detail is alive, every shadow a memory, every light a promise. I close my eyes, letting the quiet of the night sink into my chest, fill my mind, wash over my skin. In this suspended hour, I feel both infinitesimal and infinite, a tiny spark in the vast constellation of life around me. The city hums softly beneath, but it is not noise. It is pulse, breath, life itself. I open my eyes to see a small group of late-night wanderers, walking slowly along the terraces. They pass without noticing me, absorbed in their own reveries. I smile, feeling connected to them and yet utterly alone, part of a rhythm that exists beyond words, beyond time. The wind shifts gently, brushing the steps and carrying faint sounds of music from below, perhaps a guitar from a nearby street corner, mingling with the soft whisper of the city. I feel a calmness that I cannot fully name, a quiet revelation, that sometimes to witness beauty is enough, and to be still within it is a gift. I whisper softly to the basilica, to the city, to the night itself. Thank you for this moment. For every shadow, every light, every heartbeat beneath the stars. I rise slowly, letting my hands brush along the stone. As I turn to descend, the city stretches below, aglow and infinite, and I carry within me the quiet majesty of this night, the secret Paris only revealed under the hush of moonlight. I begin my descent from Montmartre, each step careful and unhurried, letting the city's nocturnal rhythm guide me. The streets are almost entirely silent now, the echoes of footsteps and distant laughter fading into the soft murmur of the night. Street lamps glow faintly, their light pooling in soft circles on the cobblestones, inviting me to wander further without rush. The air is cool and slightly damp, carrying the faint scent of the river, distant bakeries, and night-blooming flowers. Each breath feels alive, as if Paris itself has wrapped me in a quiet embrace. I walk slowly, listening to the subtle symphony of the city at rest. A gentle creak of a shutter, the soft flutter of a bird in hidden eaves, the whisper of wind teasing the ivy along the walls. I pause at a narrow corner, the streets bending in ways I have not noticed before. Shadows stretch and twist under the lamplight, creating patterns that shift and ripple as I move. The quiet makes every detail feel magnified. The texture of worn stone, the curve of an iron gate, the faint glimmer of glass reflecting the moon. A small café, closed for the night, glows faintly from a hidden interior light. I imagine the conversations, the laughter, the scent of coffee and pastries that filled it earlier. The city seems to leave traces of life in every corner, memories pressed into the stone and shadows. I follow the winding streets down, past familiar corners and hidden alleys. The quietness is profound, almost sacred. Each step feels like a meditation, a slow unfolding of both the city and my own mind. The night is no longer empty. It is filled with subtle life, with stories whispered through cobblestones and walls, with a lingering echo of footsteps I did not hear but feel. From a distance, the faint sparkle of the Eiffel Tower twinkles like a heartbeat. I pause, letting its light guide me, reminding me of the vastness of the city, the lives unfolding elsewhere even as my path moves through these empty streets. The rhythm of Paris at night is slow and gentle, a lullaby that carries me toward the final moments of my wandering. I feel a quiet gratitude for the stillness, for the absence of noise, for the chance to move through the city without distraction. Each step is deliberate, each breath a small acknowledgement of the beauty and the calm. I am fully present, suspended between memory and experience, between the city's secrets and my own thoughts. Finally, I reach the edge of Montmartre, the streets blending seamlessly into the lower avenues. The city below is calm, lights twinkling softly in the distance, a gentle reminder that life continues even in rest. I walk slowly toward my resting place, carrying the quiet of the night, the rhythm of the streets, and the memory of every shadow, every glow, every breath of this city beneath the stars. And as I pause once more, listening to the distant hum of a Paris that sleeps lightly, I whisper to the night, "Sleep well, Paris. I will hold your stories with me." The first threads of dawn stretch across Paris like pale ribbons of silk. The sky softens from deep blue to gentle lavender, then to a delicate peach, hinting at the warmth that the sun will soon bring. I stand at the window of my temporary room, watching the city awaken slowly, as if in no rush to reveal its brilliance. The streets are quiet, save for the occasional early footsteps of someone already beginning their day. The faint aroma of freshly baked bread drifts from a nearby bakery, mingling with the crisp morning air. I take a deep breath, letting it fill me with the memory of the nights and days I have spent here. The sunlight over rooftops, the moonlight on cobblestones, the Seine's silver ribbons, the golden glow from bridges and cafes. I pack my belongings slowly, each item a reminder of small moments. The notebook filled with fragments of impressions, the camera capturing fleeting light, the scarf that brushed against evening winds on Montmartre's terraces. Everything holds a memory, and I cradle them gently, as one would hold a cherished story. I step outside, the streets still calm, bathed in early light. The city seems to pause for me one last time, offering a quiet farewell. I walk toward Pont Neuf, watching the reflections in the Seine shimmer in the soft glow of dawn. The water moves steadily, like time itself, carrying away yesterday and promising tomorrow. I pause in the center of the bridge, leaning lightly against the stone railing. I look at Paris, its rooftops, spires, the gentle twist of streets that guided me through days and nights of quiet discovery. I feel gratitude settle deep within me, for the city's beauty, for its whispers and echoes, for the tender moments that exist only for those who pause to notice. A street cleaner hums softly as he begins his rounds, a faint melody that blends with the city's awakening. The smell of coffee from an early café drifts upward, playful and inviting. Birds stir in nearby trees, lifting into flight, their wings catching the first sunlight. Every detail is alive, precise, perfect. I take one last long look at the skyline, memorizing the curve of each dome, the silhouette of each bridge, the sparkle of lights fading as the day claims them. I close my eyes, committing the memory to heart and soul, knowing that Paris has left its mark on me forever. Then, with quiet reverence, I turn to descend toward the awaiting taxi. My journey will continue, the next destination calling, yet Paris, with its cobblestones, river, laughter, quiet cafes, and infinite light, will remain with me, stitched into the fabric of my wandering heart. And as the first sunbeam kisses the horizon, I whisper softly to the city I've loved for these days. Goodbye for now, Paris. Until we meet again. With that, I step forward into the new day, the city's memory warming me like a secret kept, and I carry its stories onward, ready for the next adventure.